I'm Janet G. I've not made a video for a while because I went off course for a little while. I went onto a different path, and unfortunately I found out that path wasn't for me. I became a Christian, but more orthodox Christian in a box, and after a while, maybe nearly 2 years, I've got out of the Christian box, and that's another story. The video today that I'd like to share with you is a story about a dance that I've been doing for about 5 years now. And when I started doing the dance, I didn't actually know what I was doing or why I was doing it, and I've only recently found out, and along the journey in the 5 years, what it's doing, how it works, and it's all about energy. And even, it doesn't matter what you believe in, whether you're a Christian, a Jew, a Muslim, or an atheist, it doesn't actually matter. This stuff is actually happening anyway. And the difference between doing it this way and doing it the other way, it's more like, rather than life's happening to you, you're now happening to life, because you can grab the reins of your own life using these energetic frequencies, waves and vibrations to shape and mold your life in the direction that you'd wish it to go. So I'm making this video in 2 parts. The first part is going to introduce something absolutely amazing that happened to me using these techniques with photographic proof, if you like, of how the journey unfolded in the spirit world as well, and all the joys and wonders that I experienced because of it. Part 2 will focus more on the dance itself and what it's actually doing. But before we get to that part, I think I've got to allow you to know how I came to be here and the lovely story that allowed all this to happen. The dance is called AscenDance, conscious energy dancing. And as human beings, we're energy vessels, we're made up of energy as well. If you break everything down, everything is just energy. So I've made a little PowerPoint to sort of enhance what I want to say. Can't think of another word. So human beings are energy vessels. We are electrical and magnetic energy beings. This energy can be cultivated and used to mould and shape your life. The alive mathematics found in sacred geometrical shapes and patterns aligned to these electrical and magnetic forces. We live in a world of waves, vibrations and frequencies. So my journey began when I started to watch a guy called David Icke on YouTube, and this was in 2011. I'd never heard of him before, and I came across his information on a film called The Arrivals, which was the most bizarre thing I've ever seen. It took me 4 days to watch it, and it was on for 500 minutes or something. It was very hypnotic, and it actually left me baffled on a spiritual level to what was going on in this world. But I did come across David Icke, and the way he delivered information and the way that he was speaking with things that I'd never heard of before really lit me up. So I began to watch everything on YouTube that I could, reading his books, anything that I could find about David Icke and the information that he was delivering and presenting at the time. I was most interested in his information, his presentations on consciousness and the heart center, because I was doing healing at the time myself, and he sort of opened that up in more depth, gave me more of an understanding of what I was doing, and I began to put these ideas into practice, and I started to dance. This is when it started. I have danced for many years, but not like this, and I started to dance for some unknown reason, and I was aware that my energy was growing in this dance, and other things began to happen. Like, it became eventually, over quite a long period of time, some sort of ceremonial, ritualistic vibration dance, and still is today, where I was guided and given information about what I feel is spirit, divine, pure, conscious energy. And it's been absolutely amazing. So I started dancing and listening to David Icke, and really trying to understand the heart center a lot more. Then on Mother's Day in 2012, some really peculiar things started to happen. So this is how the story goes. On Mother's Day 2012, I had a phone call from my brother who wound me up, basically, like brothers do. And I ended up crying. I don't know what he said or did, but I ended up crying. And it went on for ages, you know, women are like. So I was blubbering away, and it went on for well over an hour. And I went up the stairs, and I went to my bedroom, and I dropped to my knees, and I just felt heartbroken. It was not a very nice feeling, sobbing and sobbing away. And from nowhere, all of a sudden, I said out loud, just fill me up. Just fill me up now, Holy Spirit, fill me up. And as God's my witness, immediately some golden stuff started to be poured into my head, and it was like liquid love. It was liquid. It was absolutely amazing. I can still feel what it felt like now. It filled up my whole body. And I just felt absolute bliss. I was so blissed out. I began to cry because I was so happy. And just like that. What was this? Oh my God, this is amazing. So while this is happening to me, I had my eyes closed and just feeling this amazing, beautiful energy all over me. My partner walked in the room and he just said, "Are you okay?" And as I opened my eyes, I just went, "Oh my." He said, What is it? What is it? I went, "It's mist. It's everywhere." And the room was filled with mist. And he couldn't see it, and I could see it. Anyway, he got his phone, because he was always taking pictures. He used to get a lot of orbs and things. He picked his phone up, or he went and got his phone. And he said, "Where is it?" I said, "It's everywhere." I said, "Oh, it's beautiful, beautiful." And he just went like that, a couple of pictures. And he pulled the phone back. He said, "Oh my God, the picture's misty." So I could see the mist, he couldn't. But the photograph clarified that it was there. And we both looked at each other and was like, "Oh my God, what is going on? What is happening?" I didn't know what was happening, but I was I've never experienced anything like that before. For all the wanting and willing in the world for something on a spiritual level to happen like that, it just didn't. What was different about this time? What was it? Why did that happen? I do believe it's because I just opened myself up. I was becoming more present and understand a little bit more about what I was doing. So the journey continued, and that was Mother's Day. I can't remember what month that was, but later that year I had booked tickets the previous Christmas to go and see David Icke at Wembley, where he was putting on a 10-hour show. We were in there for 12 hours altogether. The whole time from booking those tickets to actually going to this event, and the Mother's Day incident happening as well, there were lots of other little synchronicities happening along the way. I didn't know what was going on, I didn't know where it was leading me or what I was going to be doing, but I knew my life was changing and I knew that it was good. So Wembley 2012, I attended the Remember Who You Are event in October 2012. David Icke was amazing. He spoke for some 10 hours. It was an awesome, inspiring presentation. The absolute dedication, the time, energy and attention one man can put in to make a difference and attempt to wake people up was just on another level. Absolutely brilliant. After the presentation was over, I stood up looking at the people dancing on the stage, because he got some of his people up and they all had a little bit of a jig on the stage at the end. He played some really good music too. And I stood up and I declared there and then, I'm going to meet him. Yep, I'm going to meet him. And my fellow said, "Are you going to do that?" I said, "I'm going to meet him. And I need to dance on that stage. Oh my God, look at all this energy. Look at all this energy being wasted. Where's it going? Oh." And I was like, woohoo. And we left the event. I don't know if I slept that night, it was so brilliant. And that was that. So then that was in the October. Come the November, whilst on holiday in Tenerife, and getting an opportunity to put into practice somehow, or test out this information that I was learning. I needed to see, feel and know clearly that it was true, and I could only show it to myself. So in November, whilst I was in Tenerife, in a moment I decided to test out this heart center electromagnetic energy information I was discovering from David Icke. And I didn't plan it, it happened naturally. So what happened, we went out one evening and we went to the bars in Tenerife. I think it's called Veronica's, and there's loads of bars there. And yeah, we picked this bar. Everybody was stood outside. It was a warm evening, lots of people outside. We went inside, we got a drink, and we went outside, and then I went back inside because the music was really good. And I thought, ooh. And inside there were probably about, 6 to 8 people dotted about, and the DJ. And it was like, right. And I said to my partner, I didn't know what I was going to do. I just said, watch this. So I started to dance, and I started to intentionally and consciously use my energy. I was using it, and I was doing movements that would, bring people in. I wanted the people to come in. And again, as God's my witness, no word of a lie. This is how the story goes. All the people from the outside came inside. Within 15 minutes, the place had filled up. There weren't many people left outside. The DJ was kept looking down, and I was like, oh my God, what's going on? And the people were coming over to me and my partner, and they were touching us and hugging us. It was so strange. It was bizarre. So we had to leave. We had to go because it was so intense. And when we got outside, he said, oh my God, what just happened? I said, I don't know what just happened, but I know that this stuff works. I was absolutely thrilled because I'd said to him, watch this. If I hadn't have said that, then it would have been a different story. But I said it before, and something happened, and it was witnessed. And these things started to gain a little bit more momentum. And as the days and the weeks and the months went on, lots of other things started to unfold on this level. I still didn't know what it was doing or where it was taking me. So a bit later, on the 16th of December, another very, very strange thing happened. And this date, I only realised what date it was after the experience had happened. It's a really important date in my life because there are 2 birthdays and 2 death anniversaries. This was a big shift in consciousness for me, though at the time I did not know what was going on. I was going out and in the shower starting to get ready, and all of a sudden I came to with my forehead on the bathroom wall. So I don't remember getting out of the shower. I just came round and my forehead was on the wall, and I was in some sort of trance or some sort of hypnosis or something. And while my head was on the wall, I could see these images, these beings, and they said it was Jesus, Archangel Michael and Archangel Gabriel. And I was like, wow, because I did do healing at the time. I did Reiki, and I used to work with ascended masters, etc. And I just thought it was something to do with that. But not only that, I could see them clearly, one by one, just coming toward me. It's absolutely beautiful. And while that's happening as well, information just going straight into. I was like, oh gosh, what's happening? I had my hands on them. I was like, oh God, what's happening to me? I was shaking. So again, I ran downstairs. I didn't know what was going on, and it was still happening. And I just threw my dressing gown on. And I ran down and said, oh my God, something's happening to my head, what's happening to me? You know, and again, he was like, what is it? I said, I don't know, all this information, and just had to head on the wall and whatever. And he got his phone, and he got me go up, yeah. And he took a picture. And his phone went off. He took the picture, his phone went off. And I'm like, oh, my head. And he was like, oh, my phone. Typical man. So he went off and he plugged his phone in. He said, there's nothing wrong with the battery or anything. And he got the picture up. He said, oh my God, what's that on the picture? And again, it was the biggest orb I've ever seen that's been near to me. Now, that's me, and obviously I had my dressing gown on, so I've had to cut a bit of that picture off, but there's the orb, you can see it clearly. There were also another 2 orbs that you can see on the other picture. One was green and one was purple, but you can't clearly see them on these photographs. These are the only ones that I've got left from that unfortunately. But yes, I have got them. How strange. Now, I've never seen an orb like that before that's opaque. Normally they're quite transparent, like the other 2 are quite transparent. So all night, wherever I sat, we didn't go out, we couldn't go out. Wherever I was sat, he took a picture, and he kept doing it all night because he was fascinated. This orb was with me. It was massive. It was this white orb. And I was like, wow, so what's just happened in the bathroom? And I've got these 3 orbs. And the day after, I googled what white orb could mean, and this was the information that came up. So a white orb, high frequency protection. We had a green one, healing, fertility, and we had a purple one, stored information on that one there. Here we says pure energy, high frequency, strength, new power, a visiting spirit showing peace and harmony and love. At peace, forgiveness, wisdom, spiritual, maybe a spirit showing peace and forgiveness. Green, neutral, healing, communication, psychic, maybe a spirit who was happy in life, visiting or sending healing energy. Okay, so I believe it was Archangel Michael, Jesus, and Archangel Gabriel. That was because I had 3. And that information was ever so clear. I don't even know, I couldn't put it into words now anyway, but I knew what it meant when it was going in. So the day after, I was still having this thing happening to my head, and I didn't know what to do or where to go. I felt like I needed somebody to help me. Oh, what's happening to me? Am I going mad? It's what it felt like. I'd had no sleep. I looked like absolute, oh my goodness. So I ran to a hypnotherapist that I knew. I knew he was doing a course in my town. So I ran down to the hotel that I knew he was doing his course, and I went barging in. David, oh, you've got to help me. Something's happening to my head. He was trying to just sit there for a minute. And anyway, long story short, he sort of had a look at me, and he knew that and I said, I don't know what's going on. It's, you know, I feel wired, and it's still happening now. And he ended up convincing me to do a hypnotherapy course. I did calm down, and I don't think I was the same after that. Yep, so I decided to do a hypnotherapy course with him and see if I could unravel some of what was happening to me within that somehow. And that was to start the following year in the January. So then that took us up to the 21st of December 2012, which is a date that a lot of people in the spiritual life, if you like, were thinking on what was going to happen. Is it going to be the end of the world, tying in with the main calendar, what that had been saying, etc. The world didn't end, but I do believe something did happen. There was some sort of shift in consciousness, in energy, and it took a while to sort of show itself. Something definitely happened to me on the 21st of December 2012. You can't make this stuff up. So what happened on this night, again, not understanding why or anything, we went out into Manchester with our friends, and my experience that night was so peculiar. It was becoming the norm by now. my partner and I both saw this, which again validated something big was on the horizon. There was a girl who was like troubling me when I was dancing and I was doing what I do, and she just sort of come over and stood at the side of me and just stood and just stared. So I stopped and said, oh, you know, hi, and she sort of went like this to herself, as though to say, like, do you not recognise me? And I did, but I didn't know who it was or which soap opera she was off. It was one of those girls off a soap opera, but I didn't know who or what she was off. And she was just mean, and she had a guy with her that was being a bit mean, and I thought, oh. And I literally just said, Archangel Michael, move her, in my head. And the way she moved, as I said it, she just turned really abruptly and walked off. And I was like, my God, that is weird. So I went and took my partner, and then later on, I carried on dancing, having a good time, and a girl came up at the side of me, and this was so strange. There was some I was stood on some steps that sort of went down to the dance floor, and she came and stood at the side of me. And the way that she stood, she just stood. She was like this, very rounded. Her hair was really scraggy. Her head was down, and she just stood like that with her arms dangling. And I looked, and I was like, oh, gosh, she looks a bit strange. She didn't look like she belonged in that place. She wasn't dressed for the occasion. And she started scratching her head like, and then she sort of moved in a very strange way down these steps and stood right in the middle of the dance floor that wasn't busy at the time. And I watched her, and I looked, and nobody else could see her. It was like nobody else could see her. So my partner was up. I said, look, oh my God. And he could see her, and she was stood scratching and shifting. She looked like a zombie. That's what she looked like. And I was like, whoa. I looked around, and as I looked around, there was like a balcony type of thing going up there. I could spot these kinds of people. Not everybody was like that, and you could clearly see the ones who weren't. But it was a very, very strange encounter. And again, we had to leave. We had to leave. It was too much. So we left, aware that again that something else had happened. So then it was going to be 2013. Now 13 had always been my number. I had it tattooed on my back years ago. 13 showed up so much. And I started feeling 2013 is going to be my year. Oh yes, it was probably one of the best years I've ever had. And it started off with the hypnotherapy course with David Behan in London. And it's one of the best things that I've ever done for myself. Yeah, the training showed me clearly how the mind works in, alignment with the five senses as well. And unbeknown to me then, this was the start of another journey and played a massive part in understanding myself on a deeper level. It showed me what I'm worth and that I have value, because we all indeed have much value, even if we don't know it. By this point, I was telling everyone I'm going to meet David Icke. And they laughed and they thought it was potty. Even David Bean said, oh, Janet, watch. So part of the training in the hypnotherapy, which really grabbed my attention, how easy it actually is to hypnotise anybody. People say they can't be hypnotised, but if you can watch TV or stare at something for more than 5 minutes, a screen, then you can be hypnotised. It's that easy. They misunderstood what hypnosis is. It doesn't mean you go into a really deep trance and somebody's going to tell you what to do and blah, blah, blah. No, we're going to trances every single day. Most people's problems are a hypnotic trance pattern that just needs changing or reprogramming. And it's all programming that isn't serving you anymore. So this helped me to understand that on a deeper level. And how the five senses work fascinated me, and especially what David Icke was saying too about the heart centre and the mind or the brain, with its electrical and magnetic forces at play. So I'm going to describe to you what happens. So we live in a three-dimensional five-sense realm. The information is converted by the brain from wave, vibration and frequency information to electrical information. So clever. Anyway, the brain takes a snapshot every second. So Each snapshot contains around 127 billion bits per second. So literally, your life is being weaved in front of you. Every moment. Isn't that amazing? So, to experience in this realm, in this reality, the brain has to decode the information so that we can enjoy the experience and we can use our senses. So I am going to use the eyes as an example, but it does apply to all the senses. So the eyes take in the information, wave, vibration and frequency. The brain changes it to electronic information at the back of the brain called the visual cortex, which will turn that into an image. Then, with everything else that your senses are using to enjoy that moment or to be in that moment, it will send an image kind of to the heart center, which also has a mind and will project out how it's feeling about what it's seeing, tasting, hearing, touching, smelling, etc. It will send out. So David Icke did say that you are like a projector of your own life, and this goes in alignment with the law of attraction, the secret and things as well. So your brain takes in the information and the heart center projects it out in feeling, which if you understand how this stuff works, it's what you feel about something that's going to make it come back. So if you really don't like something either and you're putting some feelings of not liking that, then that's going to come back too. Sometimes we get a bit mixed up and we might try and project something out there that we really want, but then we're sort of saying we're not going to get it because we don't feel like we'll get it, or it's a lie. So there you're stuck in like a loop, and it's all like a hypnotic trance pattern. So you are the projector of your own life, basically. And again, when you're learning about how energy works and how you can mold and shape and use it to get the kind of life that it is that you want, you have to fill yourself up to full first. You have to be full, then you can overflow and reach out to other people. Half full people can't fill people up. So fill yourself up and let this energy fill you up and pass through you. Feel good inside yourself, and then you can pass that on to others, and it's the best gift of all. Oh, so the heart and brain. So the heart center is 500 times magnetically stronger and 100 times electronically stronger than the brain. So whatever you feel into the moment being experienced, that is what you'll project out and thus receive back, good or bad. So give love and get love back and witness your life unfolding. So I watched, listened and read every day, and I watched, listened and read David Icke every day from the moment it started back in 2012. That was like a hypnotic trance to me. The way he presented information, the way it was very clearly presented, very thorough. The ease which he delivers information is very good on the ear. Just the whole thing, the way he presents information, I just think is brilliant. And I was starting to hear things that I'd never heard before about the system that we live in. Things that I would never have thought possible. It really opened my eyes to a lot of things that are going on in this world. I didn't agree with everything, and I also mostly stuck to his videos about consciousness. That was the thing that was really pulling me toward him. I used to look at the political stuff as well and see that we were still on track. The world is still a mess, you know, but this is the way out of that, in my opinion now, from what I've learned so far. I was hearing things I've never heard before about the system we live in, and it haunted me to the point where I questioned, what can I do? How can I make a difference somehow? Little old me. So I decided to put on an event of my own, modelling myself on David Icke. And speaking in public, what, are you having a laugh? You've got to be kidding. Me, I started to prepare a PowerPoint, and my friend helped me, thank goodness, thank him from the bottom of my mind. Got a clue how to do anything like that, so he helped me to prepare the PowerPoint. And originally I was just going to play a film I was sort of cheating, just play a film for people so that these people know, the people that I know that this stuff's going on in the world. And if they do, what are they doing about it? Because this stuff's like really horrific. This should not be happening to human beings. How could it get so far without anybody doing anything about it? And I would talk to a few of my friends and they would say, oh yeah, you know, we know this and we know that. And it's like, but what are you doing about it? If you're going to just keep watching videos and, you know, reading books and just going, oh, that's a good read, that's a good presentation or whatever, not actually doing something about it, how are we ever going to throw over these elites that are ruling this world and taking our precious lives away to live the full magnitude of our lives? Why we've come here? We haven't come here to be buying and selling commodities, barcodes, or a massive advertising program from birth till death, which is actually how we do live now, unfortunately. So I had to do something. So I prepared. I decided I couldn't just play a film, I had to speak, and it was like, oh my God, I've got to speak. So I got my head around it, and I still hadn't done anything about it until I just kept dancing, dance every night. And I was praying or spell casting, but it's just a giant prayer. I was calm, peaceful, and fully embodied in myself for the first time. I trusted my path. I've never felt so tuned into myself before. I didn't have a bad hair day. It was really great. I used crystals and healing and dance vibrations into the space. I learned to still myself in the dance like a moving meditation. And I had also started to prepare a presentation, but I had no idea where it was going to end up or what it was for. And it's important that you learn to still yourself and your mind, because there's so much power in there. And if you've never done it, you won't know what I'm talking about. And sometimes it can take a little while. And even though you're moving in the dance, you are still. It can get to that because it's a meditative, ritualistic, you know, vibrational dance, but you can still have joy and fun and connect with other people while you're doing it. It is really good. Still in your mind will allow you to hear instructions from your higher self, your higher consciousness, or the divine spirit. You can only hear that when you're still. Be still and know that I am God. So I could start hearing these little messages, these little nudges, like, oh, and it was all to do with what I was doing, like pick up an incense stick, write some words, make this crystal grid, do this, do that, and I just started to do those things, listen to this song, dance to that, and before I knew it, I was like, wow. I didn't know what I was doing, but I did find out what I was doing later, which I love. You start doing something, you trust in it, and the answers to what you're doing come later. It's like, wow, it was amazing. When I was back to David Icke, from doing the hypnotherapy training to doing the ayahuasca retreat in September, after about 3 months of doing the hypnotherapy training, I was really focused, really sharp. I was on fire. I didn't want to be a hypnotherapist. I didn't know what I wanted to be. I was already a therapist, a holistic therapist, but I was, what am I doing? What is this? What's going on here? It started to wane, the training, so I was like, oh, is that it? Oh, I could feel it not being as ignited inside me. So then from nowhere, this ayahuasca came. Now, ayahuasca is something that I'd read about, learned about. I hadn't really watched anything about it, and it was years ago. So I ended up, I don't know why, looking into this ayahuasca. What is this? It took me 6 months to actually look into it, till the point came where I have nothing else left now. I need to do it myself. This isn't something that you can watch and read and see. But it's come to you, told you, there's no choice, you have to do it, jump. Now's the time. So it took me that long, and it was like, okay, this was gonna do something. And I wasn't actually doing it for me, I was doing it for somebody else, but I got more than I could have dreamed of by doing it anyway. So off we went onto this ayahuasca retreat. Without going too much into ayahuasca. It is a psychedelic, hallucinogenic psychedelic journey into the spirit world. It involves the use of something called DMT, dimethyltryptamine, which allows your pineal gland to open and thus see reality in a completely different way than you're used to. Which makes it really interesting about the waves, vibrations and frequencies in the five sense realm. It sort of removes the veil from the five senses, and you get to see the outside of yourself in a completely different way, but also the inside of yourself, because the journey can either be eyes open or eyes closed. Eyes closed, you're going to go in, and and I went in. It was scary as hell, it really was. I've never done anything like that before. But it was a bit like having a baby. You go through the labour and then get your little baby at the end, and it's all joy and beauty and love. That's what ayahuasca's like. And this is what happened. Breezing over it. I will make another video in more detail about this journey and about ayahuasca and what it is, what it does, where it comes from, why it's used, etc. But right now I'm just going to go. I went through a wormhole. I thought I had died. I didn't actually know if I was dead or alive at one point. However, I did take my last breath, and when I came out, my spirit came out. I was like a baby on somebody's hands. I was a baby. I was completely in this other dimension, this other place, and the most amazing, wonderful journey happened. I'm not going to go into that now, because that's not why we're here. But like I said, I will make a video about that. In this journey, amongst massive other things, I was taken up to David Icke right in the journey. I was taken right up, he was on a stage talking, I was taken right up to him. Ooh, David Icke. And I was whipped away, and he became that big, and we went off. Absolutely fantastic. And that was that. So we came home from the retreat, and everything feels very strange after you've been on a retreat like that. You're in nature. It's peaceful, it's quiet, you've no clock, going on nature walks, eating real proper food, the conversation's really good, people are open, like-minded. So when you come back into the world, it's started spiking, the energy's really different, so it took a while to adjust. And then, yes, so shortly after the retreat, something happened, because I'd been following David Icke for all this time, following, and he embarked on a journey himself where he opened up something called the People's Voice, which was for the people, an online streaming service, I don't know what else to call it, that he helped to launch. And whilst the peak of that was happening, I just drank the medicine and come home. So I was actually on Facebook, and they'd advertised the People's Voice, so we followed them from building it up or whatever. They put on something like, we're looking for quirky, confident people to do this, whatever. And I was like, yep, I'm going to do that. Now, without ayahuasca, I would have done that. I would have thought, no, I can't do that, I'm too old, I'm too this, too that. Did it. Don't even remember telling anybody that I'd applied to do it. So I sent that off, and you had to send whatever off. Anyway, they got back to me and said, oh, this will be really good, come down to London. Yes, we want you to come. And the date is such a date, and I think it was around about 2 weeks after. Yeah, it was about 2 weeks after. So that was great, because I'd also booked another ayahuasca retreat for the 2nd of November. Anyway, about a week later, after receiving the information just about to buy the train ticket, etc., I got an email saying that they'd changed the date. I can't make this stuff up. And they changed the date to the 2nd of November. Oh dear. So I had a dilemma. And dilemmas for me are real. I drive everybody potty, because if I can't make my mind up, you jump in with me from one side to the other, and then usually I'll say just whatever, right on the nose, or something usually helps me. So shortly after the retreat, with the medicine still inside, I was aware that I felt different. Certainly not as fearful, and I wasn't ready and was ready for change. So I got the opportunity, and the dilemma was, I asked the wind, I used to talk to the wind, and I used to go to the hill in my town where I live, and I used to shout David Icke's name and blow it into the wind, because I'd read about all this stuff and I loved the wind, the rain, loved the elements. So I went outside one day and it was quite, not very windy, it was about 6 o'clock, and I was like, oh, it was the Wednesday, the Wednesday the 30th of October. Okay, and so I've got 2 days to decide. I've still not decided. So I go outside and I say, what shall I do? What shall I do? Shall I go to London? And as I said it, God's my witness, believe it or don't, it doesn't really matter, this is what happened. The wind picked up. It was not fierce, but the leaves were falling off the trees, and it was like, whoosh. I was like, oh, do ayahuasca? Oh gosh, well, that's just a sign. I don't know. Still don't know what to do, you know. And I went inside and shut the door, and I was like, so the very next day was Halloween, and on Halloween I always did something, some sort of little ritual or something, and it's all very private. And my partner and I were going to go to the ayahuasca retreat on the Friday. Halloween was on the Thursday. Still didn't know what I was doing. So the retreat was actually starting, yes, on the Friday, the next day. So I was at work and I was aware, well, I wasn't aware actually, no, but my phone hadn't gone off for quite a while, hours. I was with my client and she was having reflexology, and I sat, and she's my friend, I was sat doing her feet, and then just all of a sudden pulled my hands off and just went, oh my God, I'm going to kill him. And she said, who? And I said, my partner, I'm going to kill him. She said, why? I said, is it my house? And he's not supposed to be. And she said, how do you know? I said, I don't know how I know, but I just know. Anyway, so I carried on, finished the treatment, and lo and behold, we got up, she got up, and I checked my phone, and my phone came on, and my phone just came on. It hadn't been on. It wasn't switched off, but it hadn't sent any messages, and about 3 or 4 messages came through at once, like it does sometimes, but that didn't really happen at work. And I was like, and it said, it was my partner. Shall I do this? Shall I do that? What time shall I be there? Blah. And I was just like, you're not supposed to be there. I said I had something to do this evening. You're not supposed to be there tonight, you know. And my auntie had messaged me as well, and blah, blah, blah. So there it was. Anyway, after I'd finished my work, I had another client, he left. I was so angry. I was so mad. And I didn't want to go home because I was going to kill him. So I actually screamed in my room, I'm going to London. And there it was. I was like, oh, I'm going to London. So it was almost like I needed to get mad so that I could, because that works for me. I usually can turn anger into some sort of strength somehow later. But so I drove home, and I'd rang him and said, you know, you better go. And he said, I'll just wait till you get back, fair enough. So as I pulled into the street, he was pulling out of the street, and my auntie had rung me in the meantime as well and said, oh, he's here. And she said, it doesn't look right. He doesn't look right. There's something not right. I said, oh, right. So when he pulled up, I went the window down, just about to go, and I just went, ooh. And literally, it was in a trance. He did look like that. It was, and he actually said, Janet, I don't know how I've got here. I was like, what? It was so bizarre. Anyway, off he went, and I got in. I did what I needed to do. I also booked the train tickets and went to London. So, all in a boom, boom, boom. Nobody, I didn't even have time to tell anybody. For all the people that I've been telling I'm going to meet David Icke or whatever, I had no time to tell anybody what I was doing. And this journey began, and this again was another really interesting, well, to me it was anyway. I hope it's as interesting to you as it is to me, and we will be getting to the conclusion, so just bear with me. So on the train on the way down, I'd got this book called Principles of Shamanism, and I was reading it, and it was literally telling me what was going on in the moment while I was on the train. I was like, oh, I have done, oh, this is amazing. And they were calling it Bearing Corn of the Vision. So even though I was going to London, I didn't know whether David Icke would be there or not. It wasn't set in stone, I'm going to meet David Icke. No, I was going to the People's Voice to make some sort of presentation, some sort of promotional video, sorry. And I was super excited anyway, and I was like, oh God, what am I going to do? But there's loads of people there, but it's this, but it's that, like you do. Anyway, I got to London, I was on my own, I think, well, Wembley, it was in the Wembley area, and I got in, there's no taxis outside the train station when I come out. I was like, oh my God, it's going dark a little bit. So I had to walk a bit. I got in a taxi, and the taxi took me to the hotel, and when he passed me a card, and he said, there, if you need a taxi again, and they were called Angel Cars, and I was just like, oh my God, this is amazing. This is, I'm fine now, I'm fine. I just knew that I was fine. So I went in, I got to the hotel, I got changed, and I went straight to the studio. Now, bearing in mind they'd advertised for people on Facebook, and they had a big following, I was expecting a lot of people to be stood outside this building or whatever, or there. I don't know if I'd arranged a specific time to get there, but I arrived, and I went in, the building was so empty. There was a receptionist, and it was like, you know, a block building. So I went, I said, oh, I'm looking for the People's Voice. He said, oh, the 8th floor. Okay, so I got in the lift, I went to the 8th floor, and this lovely lady, I think she was called Deanna, greeted me, and she just looked after me for the whole day. It was amazing. She took me straight in, and this was probably one of the best days of my life ever. And she took me into the kitchen, and the studio was still being sort of prepared and built, even though they were filming and doing events and presentations and what have you. They were still obviously working as well. Took me in the kitchen, and she said, oh, this, you know, Gareth Icke was sat, this is Gareth, and such a body. And I was like, oh my God, it's Gareth Icke. No, I'm not starstruck or anything, but I just like, oh my God, this is my dream happening. It's happening. This is so strange. And even if David Icke isn't here, I'm getting closer. This is gonna happen. It's got to happen. So I made a cup of tea, and she sat me back in the reception waiting area or whatever, and I carried on reading my book. And there was just me. There was nobody else there. I couldn't believe it. There was nobody else at this place. No. It was very strange. There was a band and maybe a couple of us, but there was not hundreds of people like what I expected. So I sat there minding my own business, and then I just looked around, and David Icke walked in. I was like that, oh my God. Oh my God. Now, this guy doesn't even know that these things have been going on, but I do. It's a big thing for me. It's nothing for him. I'm just another person that he's going to meet, and he's met thousands of people, whatever. But for me, this was so big, and that's why I'm sharing the story with you as well, because it is a very unusual, nice story. So as he walked past, I just said, "Excuse me, can I shake your hand?" God knows what he thought, but I was like, I just wanted to make sure you were real, you know. Oh my God, this is amazing. And then a bit later, I got involved with helping them out. Like, as I was cleaning up, I said, oh, can I help? So I went and helped, and I went and knocked on his, can I empty your bin, please, David? And he was like, yes. And I was like, I've emptied David Icke's bin. That was so funny. So I did that, and then it got time to do this promotional video, the reason that I'd gone there. So they gathered everybody together, and we all went into this room, and they were filming, and they were doing some weird stuff, and it was just fun. It was full on fun. And I got talking to a lady called Caroline, who was Richie Allen's girlfriend, and I ended up telling her the story of the ayahuasca and David Icke and blah blah blah, and she went, oh, you've got to meet David, you've got to meet him. But we carried on making this video. So I was just stood there. I didn't know anybody else. Everybody else seemed to know each other. I didn't know anybody, but everybody was so friendly. We all got on, and we all dressed up in feathers and just put these funny things around our neck. And a guy came up and just said to me, he said, you get on Gareth's shoulders. I said, me? Yes, you. Okay, so I had to get on Gareth's shoulders, and he had hold of my legs, and I was on my hands on the ceiling like that, and I thought, oh my God, I've got my legs wrapped around Gareth Icke's head. And yeah, they say when it happens it's beyond your wildest dreams, but this wasn't my wildest dream, but this was really funny. I didn't expect this. This is really strange, but this was also a significant part in part 2 of the next video, which I'll go into later. So that happened, and I just thought it was great. It was amazing. So Caroline then said, come, you must meet David. I was like, oh my God, this is strange. So she took me into another room, and everybody was sat around chatting in like a circle, and I was perched on the end of a table, and she brought me some wine, and I had a little bit of wine, and then later he came in and he got that bottle, and he took that bottle home. It's all very... Anyway, before he was getting ready to go, and it would sort of been introduced a little bit, and Caroline went, and I just said, oh David, please could I have a photograph? He said, yes, of course. And we had a photograph, and he put his arms around me, and the guy took the photograph. He said, take another one, he said, take another one. So the guy took another one, and he would come back, he was like, it's nice, it's all right. And then I said to him, I meant to be here. And he said, oh yeah, how's that? And I said, how could I tell him all this? But I just said, well, I drank ayahuasca, and I got taken up to you in the journey. And he said, by who? And I said, a lady ayahuasca. And he said, oh, yes. And then he said something like synchronicity. And I was like, no, this is magnetizing. But you don't know yet. But you don't know that what you've taught me is actually happening right here, right now. But I've not got the time or the words to shorten it down enough to let you know how powerful this really is. So this is the reason I'm making this video. So I did meet David Icke. Did it. And it was better than my wildest dreams, because he got hold of me, and he got hold of my shoulders, and he looked at me, and he's like, and he pulled me close and held me in an embrace. And it was so nice. And he pulled me away, and he looked, and he pulled me back, and he kept kissing my head. And he said, you've got great energy, he said. I'll be seeing you again. And I was like, oh, can I dance on the stage at Wembley? Goodness, of all the things you can say to David Icke when you finally do meet him, can I shake your hand, can I empty your bin, and can I dance on his stage at Wembley? It was all about me that day, but it was absolutely amazing. He actually said, well, we will be having some dancers, and it must have thrown him. And again, that was it though. That was it, the end of it. Apart from one of his friends, or one of the guys who worked with him, came over to me after he'd gone, and he said, I don't know who you are, he said, but I have never seen him do that before. And I was like, do what, you know? And he said, I've never seen him do that before. And I was like, wow. So off I went, back through the wardrobe door, out of Narnia, back into reality. But I was literally on fire when I got home. I mean, not literally on fire, burning. I was humming. My energy was so high, I couldn't actually be around people. So my daughter looked after my child for me for an extra night. I couldn't actually even stay in the house. I had to go, and I had to lie on the floor when I got home and do some shamanic work to ground myself back. But yeah, it's like, woohoo! So that is the first part of my little journey, my little story about energy and how powerful it is. And I had to, how am I going to get back into Narnia? I didn't leave my number, I didn't get his number. How am I going to do it? I'm going to dance it in, and that's exactly the journey that I'll be taking you on in the next video. So I hope you've enjoyed it. I don't mean to offend any Christian people by saying I'm not in a Christian box anymore. I still love Jesus, but I am not in a Christian box. I am happy and free to be myself. And Jesus understood all of these things anyway that I'm saying, and I do feel that the Holy Spirit has been with me, and the Christian box with the lid on stifled my energy, so I had to get back out. And the video that brought me back out, I'll be sharing with you maybe too. I'll make my own video about that too, and then we'll show you how far you can go down these rabbit holes. But anyway, yeah, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you all soon. Thank you.